What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the CrabNet Show. On today's episode, we're talking English Premier League. The season starts in just a few days. What are the key points to consider for this season when we're looking at the champions and the top four positions, especially with a condensed season due to the COVID? That's our first segment for today. Our second segment is talking about the future. Who are these young stars that are going to be primed for BALLON d'OR awards in the coming years? We'll take a look at some of them who are definitely guaranteed success in the coming decade. That's our second segment. And to close off, we're bringing back fantasy football. With the season starting, many of you are looking at your fantasy strategies going into game week 1. We'll find out from our resident analysts what you can look out for going into the new fantasy season. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Crab Nets. I'm your host, Raj, and we've got a full host of resident analysts around the street today, bringing in the football season, as we always do, fresh from the streets of South Africa. Introducing our homeboys on the street, starting with our main man, Gur. What's up, Gur? Welcome back.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Shot. Welcome back. Kai is with us again. How's it, Kai?
So, Raj, how's it, guys? Good to be back, man.
Cool. Thanks, Kai. And Shay is here again. What's happening, Shay? Welcome back.
How's it, guys? Always good to be here.
Short. Love having your boys around, and we've got an exciting few days ahead as we count down to the start of a new season of football. We're recording on Tuesday, the 8th of September. Only a few weeks ago, we closed out the 2019 and 2020 season, but due to the COVID, we can expect football on our TVs and on our streets again in just a few days, boys. And obviously with the English Premier League, we're looking forward to another long campaign. Many new clubs coming in. We've spoken a bit about Leeds United and West Brom in the past, but everyone's talking about who's going to be leading the challenge next year to potentially dethrone Liverpool as champions of England. And Kai, to get your thoughts first up, obviously a very different season. We've seen a lot of action in the transfer market with people trying to reinforce going into the new season. What are you looking forward to most at the start of the season with many of the new transfers coming in to your team, but also to many other teams in the league?
Yeah, it's always refreshing to see these new transfers come in. It fills you up with hope, optimism, thinking that your team is going to do a little bit better than last season. For us, I think it's almost a guarantee because I don't think we can do worse than 8th.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most supporters are going to be around that frame of thinking. And it's going to be interesting. I think Liverpool haven't made many signings, but City have. And I think that's what is probably going to be the difference between the two. I mean, I said it before that it takes its toll to win the league. It's very difficult for a team to win it the next season. I know United have done it quite a few times, but they were a great side,
Yeah, back to back. It's always difficult to deliver.
Yeah, so I don't know. City look like they've made some decent signings, strengthened the correct areas. So yeah, they should be full of optimism going into this season.
Yeah, and to pull Gur in, your boys United, a few big signings over the close season. We know that you guys are starting the season a bit late due to the Europa League campaign that you had. What's your hope for your team United going into the new season just this weekend? There you go.
So excited for the new season. Somewhat excited. I wish it was different. It was normal. A lot has changed in football, and at least it's something to look forward to. United specifically, okay signings, I would say. I think we've got a good team. We know what our strategy is to build with the players that we have. you can shape up where you need to. No problem with that. And yeah, looking forward to watching this team grow. Another season of growth.
Yeah, for sure. We know there's lots of optimism in the ranks of the United fans out there. Many of you saw some of your young stars taking to the field towards the back end, and with the likes of Donny van den Beek being signed recently, United can look forward to a positive season. But Shay, to pull you into this one, lots of challenges for top 4 positions in the new season. We spoke at length about Chelsea in the last episode, but a team like Tottenham has also reinforced over the break. What's your thoughts on Jose getting his mark on that Spurs team and leading them back into the top 4 in the new season?
Yeah, I know in the past we always had this mentality growing up of there being top 4 in the league, and it was always debatable who those top 4 positions were. But there were generally 4 big teams who would take it every season, and it would be a big surprise. Remember back then, even Everton were contenders. But now in the modern day football, you're seeing teams like Leicester and Wolves and Sheffield finishing really well up the table. Yeah. And some other teams knocking on the door, like Spurs, who have come into the fold. And Spurs are looking really good. They have obviously strengthened, and they've qualified before, and they know what it takes. I mean, I think they made it all the way to the final. Just unlucky to have lost in the past, but of the Champions League, I mean. But when it comes to these English Premier League clubs, anything can happen right now, as we've seen in recent times. It's very unpredictable as to who can take it. When it comes to contention for the league, apart from the anomaly of Leicester taking it to one season, you can name the favourites. But when it comes to the actual top 4 positions, it's scary to see like Spurs finishing that close, but also matched up with Wolves, Sheffield, Arsenal, all in the mix that can come and steal that position. And then obviously Leicester's knocking on the door as well.
Yeah, but do you really see anyone challenging the Big 6 for a top 4 position in a new season?
I do. I genuinely do. I think these teams have belief in this modern day football. And especially with the kind of money that's being thrown around and the big name managers and players that are in these so-called smaller teams, I think they have genuine belief that they can finish in the top 4. They're not setting out to win the title. But they have ambition to finish in that top 4.
Yeah, I think this coming season is going to be a very dominated season by the top 6 because of the squads that they pose. And Kai, I want to get your thoughts on this. We spoke a bit about the COVID impact on the new season. A lot of these games are going to be back-to-back, playing every 3 to 4 days. We don't have the 5 substitute rule anymore. Do you think those smaller squads, the likes of Leicester, the likes of Everton, do they have an opportunity to sneak into the top 4 going into the new season?
Yeah, this is where I kind of disagree with Shane. These small teams, when I say small teams, you talk about Everton, the Newcastle, the Wolves, the likes, Leicester. Those guys, as much as they might have brilliant half a season, the second half they just fall down. And it's a consistency throughout the league that gets you into that top 4, top 2, winning the titles, So for me, those teams will always fall short because they cannot, even afford, right? They can't afford to have the massive squads that City and Chelsea and Liverpool can have. United the same.
This big top 6 that we talk about.
Exactly. They might have a very good first 11, first 15, but as soon as you start getting injuries and loss of form, that's when those teams fall off. So for me, the size of the team makes a big difference. And especially with COVID, that's what you want to discuss in this segment. You're going to have people contracting COVID.
Yeah.
So you might be dropping your best players in your team. And then now that means who comes in? One of your second, third choice youth players has to come into this team just to make the numbers now. The cities, Liverpool's and Chelsea, or United, as I said just now, they'll always, this will actually suit them.
For sure.
Because we know for a fact this virus is going to affect most of the players, most of the teams. It's inevitable.
And when we talk top 6 as well, those squads are going to be strained. And Karan, I want to get your thoughts on this because all of the top six we speak about, the big six in the English Premier League, everyone's playing European football as well. Kai's Gunners sneaked in with the FA Cup victory as well. So do you think that certain of these big six clubs are going to prioritize league over a cup football, especially with the Champions League and European competitions ready to start in October?
No, too soon. Too soon for them to make a decision on which direction they're going. They're going to be playing everything with their best. There's not going to be resting. If we do see things like that, we know it's already knockout time and they've given up on something. But I mean, you can't start off the season where you've already wrote off trophies. That's whatever it is, even if it's cup type of trophies. Just doing such things. I mean, yes, for sure, teams have like a cup players in their squad.
Yeah.
That's like the keeper, for example, will be the set cup player. I mean, that you'll see for sure. But other than that, I don't see a team not giving it their best.
Yeah, and I guess
even though, I mean, that's why they're top six, and that's why Kellen said that's how big they are. They prepared for this.
They can. And when we look at
Shane thinks that they don't need to do that, right? Because some cups are insignificant. So if Shane was manager,
maybe the
Shane was manager, he'd drop. Yeah.
Let's phrase that properly, Kai. Let's phrase that properly. Some cups are insignificant for certain teams.
That's true.
Yeah.
If we look at
I don't think Manchester United are going to field the full strength squad in the Carabao Cup. I really don't.
Yeah, and Liverpool has shown that we don't field full strength squads in the FA Cup. So, I mean, it's
the
very
reason
likely
that those clubs choose to do that is because it means that they should have more depth and their second string should be better than Arsenal's first.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And they have other title ambitions.
And that's where I want to get Shay's opinion on this one. Like we speak about our top six teams, and this conversation is mostly on who's going to benefit the most from this situation of the COVID. When we look at the top six teams, there are some teams that are very dependent on certain players. And if you lose that player due to the virus and they're isolated for 2 weeks, someone like Bruno Fernandes at United comes to mind. He was the heartbeat there. Maybe even a Mo Salah at Liverpool, De Bruyne at City. These are all key players. Oba at Arsenal. If one of these teams lose their top players, we could see a loss in form and many points drop. Hey?
Yeah, so here's where my first analysis comes into play, where I said that the smaller teams do have ambitions to get into the top four, because I do feel that the season is going to be extremely unpredictable and anything can happen at the moment. So it's going to be a lot about how the managers strategize around the interruptions that they're going to have during the season. And last season, we saw a scenario with Liverpool where you had players like Firmino, Salah, Mane, Van Dijk, Arnold, Robertson, and Alisson playing week in, week out. That's the core of your squad. So if you can keep those players fit and you can keep them on the field for a full season, you do have a shot of winning a title or potentially finishing top four, fulfilling whatever ambition the club is chasing. So at a time like this, when you have a team like Man City, they have extreme depth right now. They've taken that pressure off Aguero because they've got other goal scorers in the team. They've got a ton of goal scorers. And you see Aguero starts only home games now. So that's like they've got Jesus to back him up.
Yeah.
But there are other teams. Yeah, that is a quality backup. But there are other teams in the top four, the potential top four, your big six teams that do have key players and key man reliance, where it's just going to be a huge demoralizer on the rest of the squad when they're out. Tottenham, Harry Kane. Arsenal, Aubameyang. Manchester United, Bruno and Pogba. More Bruno at the moment for his creativity. But there are scenarios like Leicester without Vardy. They're just not going to be the same. It's not only the fact that that lethal instinct is missing on the field, it's also demoralizing for the rest of the squad to know that the key man is missing. So injuries, COVID, the unpredictability of the season right now, it's going to play a huge factor, and it's going to be a bit about luck. And I do think as professionals, these players need to be taking extra care of themselves at the moment in terms of exposing themselves. But also having said that, that's life, man. If somebody catches it at the moment, it's just really unlucky on their part. They can take all the precautions that they want. They wouldn't know where they would have contracted this virus, but it can happen. And it is happening at the moment. And it's very sad. Let's just hope it's really kept to a minimum.
Yeah, definitely a very unpredictable season coming up for us, boys, and listeners out there. If you were to put your head on the block, I'm sure you would struggle to pinpoint a champion out of these top six, or even predicting that top four. But our analysts are here for a reason. So, boys on the street, putting your neck on the line here. The most unpredictable season coming up in the English Premier League. I want to hear your top four predictions. Keep it short and sweet. Let's start with Kai. Kai, top four in ascending order.
I should actually do it this descending order because I think we know the top two, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's more interesting 3 and 4, I think. So number 1, I think, is going to be City. I've said it in depth previously. But I think they're just going to have too much. They've got too much of squad depth. Liverpool are fatigued. That's it. I think Liverpool will finish second. They still have the core team that actually won it last season. Almost over 100 points.
99,
so
yep.
99, yeah, almost 100 points. Yeah, so they're not going to forget how to lose overnight. You know what I'm saying? So those guys are going to be there. They definitely going to be challenging with City, but I think City are just going to pop it. Third position, I slated Chelsea last time, right? Last week.
Very, very much.
But I think
so.
now, after they've signed Havertz, and I think there's another defender that they've signed. What's his name? Sarr as well.
No, but he's been loaned out, so he won't be part of the
loaned out. But I don't know. I think they're knocking now. They're definitely going to be out of the
so Chelsea
title contention. Title for 3, and then 4th position is going to be a toss-up between United and Arsenal. I think from an Arsenal perspective, I think Arteta is going to bring a lot to the table. It's going to be his first complete season. With the players that he's brought in and how he wants to play football. So I think that's going to be the factor that pulls him into the top 4 if he gets there. And for United, I think they finished off the season with good form. And even that, the break's been short. What's it been, a month or a bit? And they as well, they're not going to forget how to, or they're not going to lose form so quickly, right? So I think they're going to drive into it. And I think they still have enough quality in their team with Pogba and Bruno that's come into good form, and these strikers look like they've matured now. I always laughed at that United front line with Martial and Rashford. I thought they were clowns, but these guys are actually playing well. Yeah, so I think 3-4 is going to be either Arsenal or United. 4 is going to be either Arsenal or United.
Okay, that's
I can't pin that one.
Our Gunner Kai is not placing his Arsenal boys in high confidence, but we know that it's going to be a tight one. I asked for it to be short and sweet, but Kai gave us a little bit of a lecture there. Good.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Uncle Fergie, what's your thoughts?
Uncle Fergie.
So I'm going for Chelsea for the win this season. I think they've done enough now. Investing in the trophy, and I got a feeling that it's gonna come together. It sounds like it's shaping up well.
Lampard.
So then the 2 and 3 will be City and Liverpool. I'm also not gonna put United up in the top 3, but closely followed by United in the 4.
Okay, that's a big one out there. Chelsea for the win under Lampard and the big signings.
But that's what I love about the English. You can go either way.
Saga, for me, that's the difference with Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea have strengthened quite well, but they've not strengthened in one position. Yeah. And that's the manager. He's still got the PE teacher there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be closer with the top 4. I think City and Liverpool won't be so far ahead of the rest. But Shay, Red Devil Shay, are you backing your United boys a bit stronger than Uncle Fergie there?
Yeah, so everyone's forgetting that United managed to steal a 3rd spot this season. So I'm not going to place them on 4th. all this time I've been contemplating putting them on number one, but let me not get ahead of myself right now. Pep Guardiola is something else. So I'm going to put Man City at number one. As much as I love my team, I think I need to be a bit realistic at this point of the season. Obviously, anything can happen later on. Having not won the league in 30 years, I do not think Liverpool are going to be genuine contenders this year. And that's purely based on your dip in form in the last 8 games after COVID. Things really fell apart there. You may have won it with a good few games to spare, but just judging by the quality of football, it was not that same as your unbeaten run in the first 20-some-odd games that y'all had. So for second place, I am going to have a toss-up between Chelsea and United. I'll give it to United, with Chelsea close behind in third, and I'll place Liverpool at fourth. I really think Chelsea are genuine contenders, and I think it's going to be a really tight one between these 4 teams that I mentioned now.
Yeah. It sounds like 2 of you are backing City for the win, and Gary is going for the outsider Chelsea. And I'm actually going with my Liverpool boys to retain the title only because of Jurgen Klopp. And I believe if anyone can get a team to replicate the same desire, it's Jurgen. Pep definitely will push him hard, but the little bit of bias I have in me is for Liverpool for the win, and United and Chelsea to join them in the top 4. As Kai said, Arsenal have a great chance this year, but I think United have made bigger strides. So this coming year, I'm picking Liverpool, City, Chelsea, United as our top 4. But boys, let's see how it goes. I think we're all looking forward to this weekend when the football starts again. And it's going to be lots of fun. Maybe a few beers if we can, and catch the game. Yes, boys. But the next segment for today is talking about the future, and the future is bright for many of these young footballers. And it got us thinking about the future Ballon d'Or winners. We know the likes of Ronaldo and Messi have dominated over the last decade or so. But there's many young footballers who have put their hands up already as potential Ballon d'Or winners. And we're just throwing around some names of these youngsters who potentially could be holding up the Golden Globe, as we call it. Shay, to start with you, I don't want to put the name out there, but there's one young man who's probably leading that race for the ball. Who's your money on?
Yeah. So he's got 4 years to win it, and that's Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah,
he's really up there. He's world class. I mean, it's very sad to hear that his contract's with COVID right now, so he might miss the beginning of the season. But this may give him a chance to get his head straight. He's got a World Cup behind his name, so for them to be voting, he's definitely going to be up there if PSG take the Champions League or League One anytime soon.
And we forget that he's only 21 years old. He's literally got a decade to win.
Massive potential, massive. But there's a lot of youngsters that we're going to name in the segment now that are also very young. Having said that, I don't think Messi and Ronaldo are done. I really think they have one each left in them. So let's look out for that as well.
So Shay's put the obvious one out there. Good. Who are you throwing into the mix? I think everyone recognizes Mbappe is definitely one for the future, and he probably will. But good, any outsiders to challenge him in the near future?
Yeah, man, I think it's going to go to England next year. I think really, yeah, I'm sure, because, I mean, all the hype is now there in England. And you must remember, as well as the player plays, the team must also do well. The team must have trophies for the player to be recognized or put in the limelight. And depending on who takes it in England, so it could go to De Bruyne, could go to Mane, could even go to Sterling, but I have a feeling it's going to be in England next year.
So you're an England-based player, so maybe one of the new Chelsea boys that's been bought. What about the likes of Kai Havertz, Timo Werner? You think they potentially could be future Ballon d'Or winners?
Yeah. I think they did make a short list of 20 informal players. And maybe not next year, but in the few years to come, I mean, we've seen so many now youngsters be mentioned and doing well at such young ages,
Hmm.
it's all depending on their run of no injuries and playing for a winning team.
Yeah. Kai, I'm pretty sure you're going to bring some really big names into this conversation. People that you've been looking out as youngsters who's potentially got the skill and the motivation to take that award away from the likes of Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Ballon d'Or is about performing consistently at the highest level. You know, that's what you need to do. And Shane mentioned Mbappe, and I agree with that because he's standing, I think, 4 or 5 years already now at that young age. You know, Haaland is doing it at the moment.
I was waiting for that name, Erling
operating.
He just scored a couple of goals for his country, Norway, yesterday.
Norway, yeah. So that guy is definitely going to be touted. But my outside one is actually a guy called Leroy Sané.
Oh, yes.
So everyone forgets that he was, I mean, how well he performed in that title-winning run for City.
Yeah,
he was injured last season completely, whole season.
Underdog.
He's signed for Bayern Munich now, which is the Champions League holders.
Yep.
So he's going to be playing for the best team in Europe and obviously performing at those highest levels. But one of his compadres in that Bayern Munich side is definitely Serge Gnabry. That could also be touted as a future Ballon d'Or.
He showed his form in Bayern's treble-winning side.
Yeah. So ex-Arsenal boy there. Our guys were wishing him well done for the bloody Champions League thing. They need to just try and do it themselves.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané, those guys for me, man.
Yeah, and these are some of the international stars. I think Gur mentioned the English boys and Shea and all of you actually. Didn't you hear the name Jadon Sancho been spoken about?
You've only asked me about Mbappe so far.
Okay, Shea, what's your thoughts on Jadon?
Jadon's a huge player. I don't think many English Premier League fans have got to see enough of him yet, but he's probably the most exciting young talent in England next to Mason Greenwood and Phil Foden right now, but also big names on the list. But we got to remember for Ballon d'Or, it's going to be a lot about the titles that they actually managed to win.
Yeah, so Champions League especially.
Yeah, but also England in the Euros, they got to step up. For the international teams, they really do have to perform on the highest level. And to throw out a couple of names, I actually made a bit of a list for this. I know one player who's been dying to win for a long time, and he probably would have won it this year. Well, no, actually he wouldn't. Mbappe would have taken it. But Neymar, he's a hot talent, but with Brazil,
not so young anymore. Not so young anymore, but he's in his prime.
But I'm talking about future Ballon d'Or winners. He's still got a chance. Then obviously Kai's mentioned Leroy Sané, and then we've mentioned Erling Haaland. Haaland is fire. I don't know too much about Werner yet. We're going to have to see how he performs, and obviously it depends how the team performs.
Yeah.
From England themselves, I mentioned Foden. You got Mason Greenwood, who has all the potential in the world. He's shown us at United. He's cemented his spot there. You have a defender in Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is probably the most attacking defender I've ever seen. And then you got your big names in the Premier League like De Bruyne, Aubameyang, Salah, Mane, Sterling. Sterling's also an outsider that could be thrown into the mix.
Yeah, he's also quite young as well at 23.
Yeah, but it all depends on the titles that they accumulate and how they perform. If they're consistent with their numbers, their goals, assists, they keep themselves fit, and they actually manage to win some trophies in a year, they do have a shot. And we also got to remember that these French journalists hate the Englishmen, huh? So they've only really put 2 men up there. I think David Beckham had a shot. He may have finished second or third once. And then Michael Owen obviously managed to scoop it. So it's very hard for Englishmen to actually win it. But if England managed to pull something in the Euros, who knows? Anything's possible.
Yeah, and there's another young man who's making lots of news this week. He's the youngest goal scorer for Spain after coming on, starting for them.
Fati. Yes,
Ansu
of course.
Fati.
Exactly. I wrote his name down and forgot to mention him, man. Youngest scorer ever for Spain. He's a brilliant talent at Barcelona.
Kai, you probably been watching him. What's your thoughts on Fati leading the Barcelona charge in this new era? Probably with Messi, because Messi has decided to stay, but Fati is definitely the future at the new camp. Yeah,
I mean, we spoke about this, I think, during that segment about the demise of Barcelona. And we said there's very few prospects coming up through the Barcelona La Masia Academy at the moment, but he's one of them. I mean, he hasn't been doing it now since he's been included in that Spanish side. He's been doing it for almost a year now, more than a year.
Yeah.
So I think he played almost 20 games, probably didn't start all, but for Barcelona in the last
and he put in good performances as well.
Good performances, you know. So
confident, very confident.
It is definitely somebody to look out for. But again, you got to do it consistently. I mean, remember Wilshere playing against Barcelona and tearing them apart at the age of 16 something. You know, injuries can strike at any time for these young players, especially when they're performing the highest level so early in their careers. So he needs to stay fit, stay focused, not like Foden and his compadre. Who was the other guy? Greenwood. Yeah.
Deadwood.
Focus is definitely key.
Yeah, definitely. That's a lesson for them.
This.
Hopefully they learn their lesson now. They got bright futures. Let's hope they can.
Leslie's got Bobbard.
We're talking a lot about the young boys, teenagers, but we haven't mentioned the big guys right now who we touted for the 2020 Ballon d'Or. We spoke about Lewandowski. Do you think he still has it in him to?
Yeah, definitely, bro. I mean, Bayern, as we have seen before and after, there's nothing that can stop them. No virus, no global pandemic, and economic crisis.
Yeah.
The
German machine goes
on. The man, he's fed up, he's old, but he looks unstoppable, and his presence in the box, he's always there.
Yeah.
He's always challenging for the ball. So that magnetism will just carry on. I think he can.
Yeah, and the one thing that we've seen with the Messi and Ronaldo era is when you are a goal-scoring machine, you are always going to be up there with a chance of taking that award. And Lewandowski has shown it. Oba, at his age, has performed. And if Arsenal can start winning trophies, he is definitely someone who could be in line for a Ballon d'Or, or at least.
Well, they started.
So some big names, young names, but also some established footballers who've just been waiting for their chance, and we may be calling it a bit too early because CR7 and Messi still have a lot of legs in them, but it would be exciting to see a few new names be crowned Ballon d'Or champion, and let's wait to see whether they will be. But good one, boys. We'll keep a check on all of these names and see who takes it in the coming season. So yeah, to close out our last segment for the day, boys, as we said, the season is about to start up this coming weekend, and I know all of you are busy refining your fantasy football league teams. You've probably changed it multiple times already with the COVID news that's coming in on a daily basis. We just heard that Paul Pogba has been contracted the virus, so he's probably out for another 14 days. But talking strategies, Shay, what's your fantasy team looking like going into the first game week?
Oh, first game week's a difficult one with all the missing fixtures at the moment because you want to get in United and City players, and it seems like they're just going to be hanging for the first week. So I've got a bench full of non-starters at the moment, and I've got a few 4s and 4.5s on the pitch.
So that's actually a strategy that you're going with, where you're maintaining the United and City boys, even though they're not part of game week 1.
Of course. I'm not going to take -4, -8 in game week 2 just to get them in and struggle to actually find the funds when all the prices have changed and that kind of thing. I'd rather get them in now, keep them there, keep them safe, and try my best to pick 11 players who will start. I don't mind taking the hits in the first game week. So yeah, that's my starting strategy. Got a few other strategies to employ. I noticed that fantasy allows you to play a 5-2-3 formation. So that's pretty interesting.
Oh, that's new. I didn't see that one.
Well,
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, my team, I managed to get 5 defenders on the pitch, and it's letting me save the team. So I don't know if that's actually
5 defenders with 2 midfielders?
Yep.
Wow.
Really?
That's new.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one to look out for if you do want to tinker with your team and maybe spread your funds out a bit in the pack, just to get some.
5-3-2.
No,
5-2-3.
5-2-3. Okay, listeners,
I'm telling
you gotta verify this for us. Our own boy Shay is giving us some real inside information here.
I would send you all a screenshot, but I'd be giving you all my entire team. So
whilst we're
you can
talking,
go
we'll
experiment.
we'll
Comment around with
tinker.
your team and say,
We'll tinker
yeah,
whilst
have a look.
we're talking about this. But good. Looking at your team, are you looking at planning your team for a longer term? I know that's a strategy that many people use, setting up their team for at least the first 5 game weeks. Are you looking at implementing something similar?
Yeah, so I would say drop them. I had the City and United players as well before the fixtures were released, and then sure, it's like heavy stress to now go and tinker because you wanted to have this team for the long term, but then fixtures come, and fixtures are more important than long term. I mean, let's say you drop your De Bruyne, and then you have someone else that's bringing you some points. And I mean, all likelihood, you're going to get like a 10-point haul in the second game week. It could be De Bruyne, could be Sterling, or it could be Fernandes. But at least now you know who's the guy that's still looking on form, and then you buy that one. City with 3, and then you're going to be like, you're going to have your ostriches, your 4s, and your 4.5s everywhere else on the team, just because you wanted to hold on to these players.
That's what my team looks like right now. That's exactly what my team looks like right now.
That's exactly it.
Some players I've never seen play before.
Curry making a very good point there, and I think with many of my conversations with other guys, the prices of some of the good players in the Premier League is really exorbitant. And Kai, we want to pull you into this one. Can you afford to put in maybe 2 or 3 players that are greater than 11 million in your team? Because you know you're going to be sacrificing some decent starters everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, just touching on what Saga said, you got to play the fixtures. You can't have any sentimental attachment to any of these guys being supporters or, I like this player or whatever. It doesn't matter in fantasy. You got to play the fixtures. And for me, it's also about having a position or the funds allocated to a position. So it's easy to make quick moves. You don't want to also put 4 premium midfielders, and then you got 2 ostriches, 3 ostriches in the front there. So it's difficult to make the moves when the fixtures change.
Yeah.
So you need to also have a team that's a bit that's easy, it's agile, to move things around. Yeah. So as much as you just asked the question, is it possible to have 3-4 high profile players? It's possible, but they don't need to be in the same positions. You can have an Arnold or a Salah, Aubameyang and a Werner in the same team, but you can't now have Fernandes, Sterling, De Bruyne, all of them in the midfield.
All midfielders.
Midfielders. It does a disservice to your team and how you want to manage the team. Obviously, if you're playing a free hit, it's a different story. But for longevity of the season, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, that flexibility is critical. And listeners, just so you don't be lost in this conversation, a typical street talk conversation like we're having right now, you'll hear the reference to ostriches quite often. We've labeled some of those lowly priced players as ostriches, the likes that don't get you points, that struggle to get even a few minutes on the field.
Not the Eagles of the team.
Yeah. So
but you remember where it started? You remember where it started with Falcao?
With Falcao.
Hey, don't forget Aspila. Don't forget Aspila.
Yeah. If you listen to our last episode, we spoke about Falcao when he came in, and there was high hopes for him. He was priced quite highly in the fantasy, but he failed. So he was the source of the ostrich joke.
Ostrich King.
But Shay,
Ostrich King.
Ostrich King, yeah. Shay, if you had to give the listeners out there one piece of advice going into game week 1, what would it be?
I can give a few tips of advice, and not just for game week 1. My tactics are slightly different. I guess I know you would want to always play the fixtures, and I agree with that. You have to watch the fixtures. You have to know who your team is playing. But I choose to have a core squad of about 4 or 5 players who I don't change despite form. And that'll only be up until the first wild card. So I know there's 2 wild cards. I'll have like 3 phases during the season when my squad will change completely. But those 3 or 4 players won't change. And right now, value for money, the Liverpool defense, if you look at them, to be 7.5, 7.0, and 6.5 with Arnold, Robertson, and Van Dijk, and to be getting close to 200 points, that's phenomenal, because you're going to be playing, 11, 12 for Aubameyang and Salah and Sterling and that kind of thing. And they're getting you the same amount of points. So I think to invest in your defense, to look at it from that perspective is a very good approach. During the season, don't take too many -4s, don't take too many big hits. Time your chips carefully. I'm terrible at timing the chips. I end up with like negligible points.
Playing your bench boost.
Did you play before COVID?
Bench boost. Yeah. I played bench boost the weekend
lockdown.
That COVID got called. Yeah, after lockdown.
And he didn't deactivate it.
I even emailed them. He asked me if they could change something on the DB or something. If they could change that flag. Nah, no chance.
So Shay is sounding like an ostrich, but he's giving you some good advice.
I am the ostrich of the chips. I'm the ostrich team when it comes to the chips for sure, because I played my triple captain on a double game week for Liverpool on Mane, and he ended up getting injured in the first few minutes. So I ended up with 1 point that became 3. So yeah, my chips are terrible. But yeah, also stick with the cheap goalkeeper. I don't think goalkeepers get you too much points. And the captain choice is vital. Captain choice is probably the most important thing that you have to choose. Don't just stick with one captain all the time. You have to time it. Look for the informed players and know that he's going to probably rack you up a good couple of points. I mean, De Bruyne was a classic example towards the end of last season.
Yeah, lots of good advice from Shay there. Good. Anything that you want to add to that? I'm sure there's quite a bit.
Yeah, man, there's also quite a bit that I'd like to say. As I said, don't load your team up with unknowns or too many of the big stars. Diversify. I'd say your bench must look like you can interchange most of them into the starting 11 as the fixtures go on. That's how strong your entire team must look. Look at the other teams like Newcastle and Everton. They're bringing in at least 3, at least 3 each good big names. And when you get 1 or 2 players new into the team, experienced players, the whole team starts to play better. So even take a gamble on the average players of last season from those teams. Look at the fixtures. Chelsea look good going forward. They just got that one Liverpool game, I think, very soon. Don't go for West Ham. I think they have really tough fixtures going forward. And I'm being serious about the Newcastle players. Go deep into it and you'll find a few good names.
Hey, Matic is on penalties. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, the main thing: look for penalty takers. VAR is around.
Yep, we saw a lot of big scoring penalty takers in last season with VAR. Some good ones there for you listeners. Gur is always quite pedantic and methodical in his gameplay. So some great advice from him. Kai won our mini league here in South Africa, so you can value his opinion when it comes to fantasy football. Ghana Kai, where we at with fantasy strategies?
So I disagree a little bit with Saga. I don't have a strong bench. You put your money on the pitch. So I would rather pump up the actual team, make sure those guys are playing it week in, week out. Maybe have one sub that's able to shift in and out. But if you have too much of a strong bench, you end up depleting your funds for players that you can actually put onto the pitch. And also, you'll find yourself stressing every weekend because you don't know which players you want to put into the team. You're tinkering too much and you second guess yourself. Yeah.
But I mean, you have one bad spell of injuries and the minuses catch you. Or COVID now, yeah. That's
or fixture change because of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, those are things that everyone's going to deal with at this stage. But are you going to go 80-90% of the season with starters on the bench as opposed to having a little bit of extra fun?
Meet me halfway with at least one defender and one striker.
No, I said at least one player. Not
No,
one.
but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying
on
one
one
defender and one. Or
One starter at least. Yeah.
Mhm.
And for me, when the season starts, make the ballsy moves. Make the moves that you wish you could have made at the end of the season when you're trying to protect your lead. Because with me, I play those heavy moves in the front. You just play the wild card. You can play the wild card in game week 2, game week 3. Who cares, man?
Yeah.
But always make the moves early. That's how I play, right? So I would actually set up my team on the weekend while I'm watching the game.
Yep.
You know, and this also safeguards against price increases. It improves my mental health because I don't have to keep on changing the team. You know, so. I mean, at the end of the day, we all know this is a time-consuming game. If you allow yourself to be completely, enthralled in this thing, you're gonna some parts of your life are gonna slip, right?
I want to add one thing to what
get-
Kai said. That part about, I know I mentioned the 5-2-3 formation, but realistically during the season, you're going to play with 3 or 4 defenders. So when you have players on the bench, I really think you only need to have 2 bench players, to be honest. Your third bench player, the one sitting right at the end, who's probably never going to come on, is most likely going to be a defender, and he should be a 4.0.
Yeah.
You must look early on
definitely.
in the season. Look early on in the season for 4.0 starters. I mean, very unlikely, but there were 1 or 2 that did start last season. I mean, actually every season there's always an injury, or for some reason somebody ends up coming on as a 4.0.
Yeah.
Write that guy off. Leave him there.
Exactly.
He's
So
just
that's
there
the thing.
for in
Yeah,
case.
so that's the thing. So when you play that the wild card in the, for me, second or third game week, you bring those guys in.
Yeah,
And
it's a chance.
Look at those guys are
Yeah,
guaranteed
right
to
away.
increase in cost because everyone's going to go for them later.
Everyone
So go for them
remembers
early.
Lundstrom from last year.
Landstrom, exactly. Yeah. So all of those guys, even Kevin De Bruyne, I got Kevin De Bruyne less than 10. I got him at 9
He
points.
ended up at 11.5 or so at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So some great advice from Kai there. I think there's a few technical changes that the game has seen as well. Shay mentioned it now.
Yeah, verified
Formation
shares when
wise.
it works, that man.
Yeah, 5-2-3
Well,
is
that's
an
okay.
applicable formation. Maybe one key piece of information for everyone to that probably didn't know this, but deadline has changed. It's not 60 minutes before kickoff; it's 90 minutes before kickoff.
90.
So make sure that you get your team secured by 90 minutes before the first kickoff. Otherwise, you're going to get shot in the foot. And
especially with a condensed season.
Yep. I think all of you mentioned most of the key things. And just maybe one thing from my side, I think the value of a vice captain is also going to be very critical this year with the amount of rotation that's coming. So try to keep your vice captain as a strong player who's not from the same team as your captain. Potentially with fixture changes due to COVID, many game weeks will see double game weeks, and some of your big players might not be playing in that game week. So make sure you're on the fixture list and keep your vice captains on the ball as well. But boys, it's been a great show. We all amped and looking forward to the new season. Thanks for your time again, Shay, Kai, Gert. Always good
Thanks for having us.
Sure, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Raj.
Great stuff, boys. And listeners, hope you enjoyed that. You can hear the excitement in all of our voices. The streets of South Africa is rocking, looking ahead of the season coming up, both in the English Premier League, but across Europe. And this is what the Crab Net is all about, bringing fresh, authentic opinions about the European football scenes straight from the streets of SA. As I always say, if you want to get in on our show, hit us up, follow us on Facebook, and smash that like button on YouTube as well. You'll find us there, bringing all of our opinions live to the rest of the world. Thanks again for joining us, and we're looking forward to the new season. Enjoy your football this weekend. We love you from the Crab Nets. Over and out.
We get our drink on, we going out tonight, we get our smoke on.